The Jessamine is a traditional Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf uh, prep, and it is for the Phillies. I'm sorry. And it's the eighth race on the Friday card at Keeneland. Stress that again, Friday card. Running a mile and a 16th on the turf, as stated for 2-year-old fillies. And, with these races, I mean, it's a lot of things can happen. It's very similar to the Natalma at Woodbine, just a big field. Uh, a lot of horses that, are pretenders and a lot of contenders that are probably hidden. So, uh, excuse me, it's a bit of a crapshoot. But what I go on when I look at races like this is the visual impression that the horses make. Ones that look like they've got more in the tank, that they've got potential, and certainly we want to look for any signs of greenness or things like that. So, taking a look at it, you go with the early runners, and Isle of Capri I think is a pretty nice horse, but the pedigree is a little more on the sprint side. And you can say the same thing with Machaya. They look like they were all out at 6.5 furlongs. I believe they both ran at. So I think it's a little bit of a stretch for them to go 2 turns. Of the early runners, totally justified to me looks like a horse who certainly will be okay with more ground. Already ran a race in the PG Johnson around 2 turns. And what I liked about the effort, while it didn't come back speed figure wise as high as some of the others, this horse put away some really late rushers, held them off, and it wasn't, at first glance going into the stretch, you thought she's just begging for the finish line. But you know what? It really didn't work out that way. She held on very well, kept on, and I like the effort. And with a little move forward, I think could be very dangerous in here. There's what can you say with these races? I mean, the pace tends to be, I think, will likely be a little quicker, just because they're 2-year-olds and they only know, the early runners only know one way to go. But I think Totally Justified looked pretty professional to me, and you certainly can't argue with the sire's record on turf. So I think is one certainly to think about using. Mayday Ready had a nice effort at Keeneland in or Kentucky Downs rather, in the juvenile. The only thing I really question is Kentucky Downs horses running at Kentucky Downs afterwards, moving on to another track, sometimes don't do quite as well. But I thought Mayday Ready had a nice effort. It was made a move at the top of the turn and kept on really well, showed some nice acceleration. It's the thing with Kentucky Downs, and moreover, the class rating or the race rating for the race didn't come out quite as high as some of the others, like the PG Johnson or the Natalma. So the competition probably wasn't quite as good as some of the other races, but Mayday Ready is certainly a horse to keep in your mix for sure. Italian Soiree to me is my pick. First and foremost, you're going to get some value in a race that you really have to have it. I didn't think anybody in this field set themselves apart significantly from any of the others. And when you have a situation like that, a lot of things can happen. Moves forward are very likely from some unlikely horses. I don't think Italian Soiree is that unlikely. Trained by John Terranova, is really good with shippers. She just ran in the Natalma, which was the highest rated race of the races prior to this one. And she didn't win, but it was a really deep field. There were a lot of good runners in there, and she kept on pretty well, showed a pretty good closing kick for, I think she got 4th or maybe 5th, but it wasn't a threat to win. But, the move forward looked possible. And the horse has shown some effort in prior starts that I think that she can take another step forward, laying off the pace, a little bit more forwardly placed than perhaps the closers, and so should be in a pretty good position. Coretto didn't come out of a very good race, but is a horse that looked like she had more in the tank from basically the way she ran. And that was what impressed me. I don't think she's fast enough or at this point, maybe can take a move forward, but maybe a sleeper at some pretty good odds that you can get underneath in the exotics. Destino Doro for Brad Cox, Flavian Pratt. What more do you need to say? It is interesting to note that some of the also eligibles are the Chad Brown, Verna Colada. Flavian Pratt, if she draws in, would likely switch over. But Destino Doro, what I liked more than anything was she was geared down in her last race. Now, she didn't beat very much, and but had a nice sustained run, had some good acceleration. And like I say, she was geared down at the end, so there's certainly more in the tank. And I think is a horse we definitely want to keep an eye on. Ballerina d'Oro is for Chad Brown. Need we say more? Really, the only reason I'm considering this horse, I don't like the fact that she's not progressing class-wise, but she did win her last race and is kind of a grinder, which is another thing that sort of turned me off by her. The way she runs, you don't see that big push-button acceleration. She's just going to run steadily along. So to me, she would be a horse that I would consider more for underneath. But again, certainly this is a field where there's a lot of ways to go, and it's really hard to exclude anybody, to be honest, but that's what we're trying to do here. And again, I just go on the visual and ones to me that look like they've got more in the tank and are likely to progress. So we take a look at our wagering strategy. We're going to bet Italian Soiree to win. We're thinking that she's probably not going to be the favorite, and we're probably going to get some mid-price odds, maybe 5-1, 9-2, something like that. And then we're going to do a 10-6 cold exacta with Destino d'Oro, who I think is certainly a very viable win candidate here. And then we'll box the two of them, 6-10. And then we'll do a key box. And I wouldn't go this deep in an exacta key box if it wasn't a 2-year-old race where all the horses are so evenly matched. But we're going to go 10 on top with 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to use Destino d'Oro, Ballerina d'Oro, Mayday Ready, and Totally Justified. I'm not quite as confident on Corretto, and we'll take our chances. I don't want to go too deep in a race like this because there's just so many things that can happen, and it's such a wild card. But visually, these are the horses I think make the most sense in this race, and that's what we're going to go with and hope we're right. I hope this analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy, and I wish you the best of luck as always. Keep on the lookout for more from Keeneland. We're going to do all the Keeneland races, and we'll try to get, certainly want to pay attention to the Champagne Stakes and the other races on Belmont's Saturday card. We're getting to be that time. There's a lot of Breeders' Cup preps coming up, and we'll try to get to all of them. So I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.